You need to focus your attention and your energy on something in order to get it done. And if your attention is not focused on that thing and it is focused on other things at the same time, you aren't going to be able to get nearly as much done in any of those endeavors as you are if you were to focus on one, get it done, then move on to the next. Hey, it's Rob. Welcome to Chapter 1 of Heads Up Baseball. Heads Up Baseball, this phenomenal book. I encourage you to go get it. I've got a link down there through Amazon. You can go get it now and follow along with me here as I go through chapter by chapter. This is one of the best self-development and personal growth books I've ever read. And I'm going to show you why here in these videos, and you're going to understand how a baseball book can help you improve your life. So, Chapter 1 in this book is called Playing with Confidence, and confidence is where everything begins in life, in baseball, in sports, whether maybe you're not a baseball player, but you played soccer, or you ran track or something like that, you played basketball, I don't know, any competitive endeavor at all. Confidence is key, and that includes business, of course, too, right? Life, where you're going through and trying to get a promotion at work, or you're starting a new business, or you're launching a new product with your business, or doing some sort of new endeavor. Confidence is key, and one of the reasons that we're not very good at something when we first start doing it is because we haven't done it and we don't have any confidence. And then as we start to learn more about it and as we start to develop our skills, guess what? We get more confident in what we're doing, and then we become an expert, right? And so playing with confidence is a huge key. Living with confidence is a huge key to life. And so that's the parallel here. And so one of the things that the book recommends is to focus on the present. And that's probably one of the number one things you can do in life to increase your productivity and increase the way that you go about enjoying your life, right? Increase the level of enjoyment and increase your quality of life is being focused on the present moment. Be where your feet are is the way I've heard it before, and I love that expression. Wherever your feet are, be there. Don't be thinking about 20 other things going on, right? You're there right now participating in whatever it is you're participating in. Right now you're watching this video, right? Be here with me, okay? Suck yourself into this video, all right? And focus on the present and what we're learning here. Because what I want to do is I want to hear from you, and I want to know what you learned, what you took away from this. I want you to give me your insights because I want to learn, right? And so focusing on the present moment and being here now is what it's all about. That is a huge, huge thing in anything in life. You know, it's a huge detail that you've got to be focused on the present moment. Be here, be where your feet are, right? And of course, one of the things that happens in sports and in competition, and in the book they talk about the pitches that you see in a baseball game, right? So as a batter, for instance, the umpire makes a bad call, and if you're still thinking of that pitch 2 pitches later, you've already struck out or popped out or something. You've already failed, so to speak, in terms of that at bat, right? In terms of that plate appearance, because you are distracted by something that happened already that you can't change. You're not in the present moment. Same thing with a pitcher on the mound. If the pitcher throws a pitch and isn't confident in that pitch because he's thinking about something that happened 2-3 pitches ago, that isn't going to work either. And so they encourage what they call playing one pitch at a time. And that's actually on the cover of the book, Heads Up Baseball, playing the game one pitch at a time. And so that is the recommendation, is to play one pitch at a time and focus all of your energy on that pitch. Just like in life, you need to focus all of your energy and all of your attention on that task, right? Whatever task it is that you're trying to get done. Me personally, I don't believe in multitasking. I know that people, they think they can multitask. A computer technically can't even multitask, all right? What a computer is doing when we think of it as multitasking, if it's a single processor computer, is it is devoting little bits of attention in little fractions of seconds to a whole bunch of different tasks, all one after the other. And so what it looks like, in the blink of an eye, it's gotten several things done because it's able to process so quickly. And all it's doing is going through a list of 4 or 5 things repeatedly to get those things done. All right. So a computer really doesn't multitask either. It devotes its processing power to one thing for a nanosecond, then moves on to the next thing, and next thing, then comes back to the first thing. And it looks like it's multitasking because it's doing all these things so quickly, right? But computers truly don't multitask. And people, you think your brain can handle something like that, where you chop up your 5 tasks that you have to do into little nanoseconds and continually go through that loop? Impossible. People can't multitask, okay? Fight me on this. It's fine. I know I'm going to get some comments. Please leave comments. I want them. And while you're at it, hit the like button, subscribe, and send this video on to other people who like to think they can multitask. And let's see what they think, okay? But multitasking, to me, is a myth because you need to focus your attention and your energy on something in order to get it done. And if your attention is not focused on that thing, and it is focused on other things at the same time, you aren't going to be able to get nearly as much done in any of those endeavors as you are if you were to focus on one, get it done, then move on to the next. All right? Sure, there are exceptions if you want to get nitpicky, like loading the dishwasher and having a conversation at the same time, okay? That to me is less multitasking than that is just living life, okay? Like people can at least have a conversation a lot of times while they are doing something else. Sometimes not. It depends on what it is, right? And it depends on how much focus it requires. So, focus on the present, be where your feet are, play the game one pitch at a time, do life one thing at a time. However you want to say this, or however you want to remember it, that is a huge key to getting the most out of yourself. And focusing on the present moment is all about putting all of your attention and all of your energy into that moment, that task, that goal, that endeavor, whatever it is, whatever you want to fill in the blank with, whatever that thing you're doing. Okay, put everything into it. And one of the biggest things too that kind of held me back for a long time, holds a lot of people back, I know, because I've talked to them and I understand, and I hear people when they speak to me about this kind of stuff, I hear them say a lot that they're afraid of, in so many words. Maybe they don't use the word afraid, but they're afraid to do it because it won't come out perfect, right? And so why bother? And so the authors of this book and me as well, we are here to say it's not about being perfect, all right? It isn't about being perfect. It's about the ability to adjust. And the top performers in anything, whether it's baseball, whether it's business, whether it's politics, it doesn't matter what it is. The top performers, they don't start on some path that they outlined and everything goes perfectly all along the way from start to finish. And it's exactly the way they wrote it out every single time. Okay, that might never happen, or it might happen once in all the things that you do that are important to you. Because what happens along the way, I know, we get sidetracked. Things come up, right? Things happen, and we get thrown off track, right? Something comes up where we get pulled away from a task because of an emergency. We have something come up where, you got a kid maybe and they're at school and you got to go pick them up because they're sick. 100 things. Your car doesn't start in the morning. You ran out of gas. There's a zillion things that can sidetrack you each day and each moment, really, as you go about living your life and trying to accomplish things and trying to succeed, right? And that's ultimately what this is really all about is success, right? That's why we're here. That's why I'm speaking to you, is because you're interested in success. You're chasing success like I am. We chase success here. That's what we do, all right? And so, again, success is not about being perfect. It's not about performing flawlessly. It's about making the adjustments to be able to get it done when you're not at your best. Because hardly any of us are ever going to be at our best, right? Your absolute best. Maybe you're, whether you want to call it in the zone or whatever you want to call it, you're there maybe 10% of the time, and that's if you're really there quite a bit. Like some people, they don't even know what I'm talking about when I say in the zone. They know what I'm talking about because they've heard of it, but maybe this is you and you've just never been in the zone. That's okay. Maybe through this process here, we can get you playing in the zone sometimes 1% or 2% of the time and eventually grow that out, right? But look, it's not about that, okay? It's not about being in the zone and performing perfectly. And does that help sometimes? Of course it does. And are there times in some endeavors and in some tasks and in some professions where you have to be in the zone in order to get things right, and the only way you can get the result is by being in the zone? Yes, of course. Those are few and far between, thankfully. In almost all cases, we don't need to be that precise and we don't need to be perfect. We just need to make the adjustments as we see what's happening and as we read and react and as we interpret data and interpret our results and try and figure out from that what we can do differently and what we can do better, right? And so those adjustments are how you get through. And if you are a baseball fan, sometimes you'll hear the broadcasters talk about how, he doesn't have his best stuff today, right? When you're talking about a pitcher, he doesn't have his best stuff today, but he's fighting through and he got it done. He gave his team a chance to win, right? Guy goes 6 innings and he gives up 10 hits and a few walks and 3 runs, but his team's winning 6-3. Hey, he kept him in the game, right? 10 hits, 6 innings, that's not his best stuff, I guarantee, for any Major League ball player, okay? They wouldn't be in the majors. But he fought through, and he made the adjustments he needed to make in order to get the outs to get them through 6 innings and give them a lead, right? That's the important thing. That is what wins you ball games, is making adjustments, right? And that is what wins in life, is making adjustments and trying to figure out, how can I do this better? How can I look at this from a different angle and maybe come up with a different solution, right? There's all kinds of different ways that this can play into real life. But again, remind yourself that it isn't about being perfect, and it's about making the adjustments. And perfect, let me talk about that word for a minute, because I feel like a lot of people have a definition of perfect, and I'm not going to look up in the dictionary, right? You can look it up if you want. It's not important to me what the dictionary definition of perfect is. I have my own definition of perfect, and it's a lot different than what a lot of other people think of as perfect or use as their definition of perfect, and I understand that, and that's okay. But my definition personally of perfect is that everything is as it should be. So perfect things, they exist, I guess, and to me they exist in almost everything, because they are a representation of things as they should be. Okay, you can have something that is perfectly disastrous, if that makes sense, right? You can have you have something that's like a perfect mistake, right? The word perfect is a really strange word to me, because I think that a lot of people equate perfect with ideal, and so perfect equals ideal. And I don't think so. I think those words are 2 different words for a reason. I don't find that perfect is necessarily ideal. I just find that it is the way it should be. So forget about perfect, okay? It's not about perfection. And that'll hold a lot of people back. And like I say, until I adopted that philosophy and changed my own definition of perfect, that's where I lived too. And I was in an area, I was in a zone, so to speak, where I was not taking the actions I needed to take. I was not doing the things I needed to do, because I was afraid that they weren't going to come out perfect. And these videos here, these aren't going to come out perfect. I'll guarantee you that. And you may notice too, I don't use a lot of slides, and I hardly use any of them. And there may be some eventually, but this video here won't have any. I don't use those, and I just kind of talk to the camera without much of a script or anything, just kind of an idea what I want to talk about. Because again, I don't really care if it comes out perfect. I care if I give you some useful information. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to do here, and I'm trying to receive useful information from you as well, which is why I want you to comment, and I want you to come over to the website and join the community, right? And have a increase your likelihood and your speed of success and of moving to the next level, wherever you're at. Maybe you're at level 10 already. You can get to level 11, right? So let's get you there as fast as possible. And the way we do that, of course, is by minimizing the fluff and giving you useful information. So hopefully this is useful for you, and I'm going to try and continue to give you useful information from this book, Heads Up Baseball, to start with here. So again, focusing on the present is important, and it's not about being perfect. It is about the ability to adjust, right? And finally, another big point that they make in the book in this first chapter is the value of knowing yourself, okay? And I recently heard on a podcast a guy who talked about how valuable this experience was for him personally, of getting to know himself. And he talked about the fact that in school, we have classes on math and science and writing and all kinds of different things. And when you get to college, you have classes on finance and business and TV and audio production and all these different things, right? Political science and there's different, but there's no classes on you, right? There's no classes on finding out about yourself. And it would be impossible, I think, to have a class like that, because the whole point is that you have to find out about yourself, and everybody's going to have a unique way of doing that, and everyone's going to carve their own path, right? But what we can do is we can go through sort of an exercise, I guess, for lack of a better term. In the book, it is a series of questions at the end that they ask at the end of the first chapter. And those questions are presented in the form of a chart, and you fill in the blanks in the chart with descriptions of your best day ever playing baseball and your worst day ever playing baseball. And of course, you can easily extrapolate this out to life, right? So take a day that was super successful for you, or a venture, a particular thing that you recently completed, maybe, that you were on fire and you nailed it, right? And answer the questions, from that point of view. And then a day where you just didn't have it for whatever reason. And maybe those are few and far between for you, and I hope so. That would be awesome. Maybe those happen like almost every day for you, and you don't really accomplish a whole lot right now as far as what you really want to achieve and as far as what your vision is. And we'll talk about vision in the next chapter because that's really important too. But it's up to you to figure out what kinds of things, what kinds of qualities and what kinds of attitudes you bring when you're at your best and when you're at your worst. It's up to you to find this stuff out about yourself. And it's so super important, because if you know the difference, then number one, you can focus on the activities and the mindset and the different focal points and things from a good performance more. And when you notice yourself slipping into one of these things you've defined as your worst performances, right, you can catch that because you recognize it, because you have thought about it and defined it for yourself. And you recognize that you're slipping into that. And now, boom, I can take that and I can switch over to the other side, the other box on the two columns that you write in here. And I can go, how do I get over here? I'm going this way. I don't know. I don't need to go that way. I need to go this way. What can I do about that? And you can intervene on yourself, right? And that's a huge power to have. I probably don't even have to tell you. You understand the value of managing yourself. I'm sure you wouldn't be watching these videos, right? You wouldn't be here on my channel. High achievers, we understand the need to control ourselves, all right? Because that's the only thing you can control, right? So the questions and answers, those are in my notes for the book, okay? And I did not answer them from a baseball player's point of view, although I could have. But I took the questions that they list and I changed them to a format that fits life, right? And so, but most of them didn't even need to be changed. Some of them are things like, what was your mental state, right? What kinds of things were you saying to yourself in your internal dialogue? And like I say, the whole list is there in my notes. And if you want my notes to the book, and you're going through this with me, or you just want my notes for these videos here, head on over to the website and sign up for the mailing list, the newsletter, and I will also send you the notes for this book. And that way you can go through these videos with my notes. You can make your own notes. You can share your notes with me. I would love that. And we can collaborate and we can win together. And in the community on the website, one of these days, I will get to posting some of the notes that I receive. Anonymously, of course. I'm not going to flame somebody out on my website and put their notes up there, especially if they're highly personal. Okay, you don't even have to put your name on your notes when you send them to me, for that matter. But I want you to share with me what your takeaways are from this. I want you to also share with me your answers to these questions, your best and your worst performances, okay? Because again, it is up to you to figure out what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And when you're at your peak performance, what does that look like? And when you are not, what does that look like, right? Huge, important, and valuable information for you to have about yourself, and that is the only way you can come up with it, is by yourself. Nobody else can do this for you. You've got to sit and answer these questions, right? So grab the guide, okay, from my website. Go sign up over there. Like this video, subscribe, and tune in for Chapter 2 coming up next. I'll see you soon.
I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me.